Good afternoon, our valued viewers. Thank you for staying with us. As though I would have to entice you any further with whatever I've got to say. You all know what's going on here. Open 1 finals after a cracking set of semis on both sides of the bracket. We see Mooncatchers through against BFD LAfolta. Moon had a exceptional semi-final, winning it in the dying minutes with a saving hand block from Tom's Albertinch. LAfolta hung on and won on Universe Point as well. We'll just get into this a bit more. I'll remind you first, you're with ULTI.TV. I'm Stefan Rapazzo, and I'm joined with Hannah Pendlebury for this grand final in the Open 1 division. Hannah, this is the penultimate. How are we feeling with what we've got in front of us right now?
Well, both teams had a real tussle to get into this final matchup. Shows how hot it is at the top. Whew. Just had a sprint back to get some refresh myself before I wreck myself. Women's final was great, but yeah, no, it's going to be a really, really good match between these two teams. Italy versus Brussels. Bologna, Brussels, a bit of BBB action, but we had a really, really close tussle for both sides, of course. Mooncatchers upsetting GB Open, who had pretty much been on cruise control for most of this tournament. And the Italians with that absolute grinder towards the end. So it's about mental recovery for them. They've had a big stumble, a big falter. They've just about squeaked it over a very feisty, very talented Belgian under-24 team. Super excited to see those lads later on this season in Nottingham.
I got to have a quick chat with coaches from both clubs while Hannah and Charlotte finished covering that wonderful women's final. Talking to Coach Giarosa from Bologna, he said he doesn't know what happened there. They were just giving them too many opportunities, and he said the one thing they didn't want was for them to get some momentum and a bit of energy amongst the youth, and that's exactly what they gave them, and they just couldn't stop them. I asked about some of the calls in the final point, and he said, well, listen, as much as people want to think what they think, he felt the contact, talking about Gasperini, and stuck with his call, and he also mentioned the Pavan de Cran double catch was something he figured may well have ended the game in their favor anyways. So that was the semi. This is the final, Hannah.
Indeed. There was a photo of that simultaneous or not catch. I won't tell you what it, we'll just wait for that one to proliferate on social media at some point.
Let's find out. Paul Arders puts things into play as Merrick comes under. Ref Jonkers with the disc. Orlovsky's came up line, but well covered. Arders recovers and gets that one. Merrick now on the under. Through to Feller, who has to make a bit of a circus catch on that. Far sideline, looked to dump. Orlovsky stayed open, high stall count now. He's only looking upfield. Only, now goes wide. Orlovsky's there and has it. Arders wide open. First goal on the board. Mooncatchers hold nice and clean.
Well, a little bit of chat after that point between Cordato and the mark that he was providing to Arthur Feller. Bit of a chat. There's definitely a reset, or maybe 2 resets during that stall count, because that was maybe about 15 seconds worth of possession for Feller. But a really lovely, calm pass from Orlovskis, leading into the end zone for the first clean hold, with just 6 passes to do it. So pretty easy, but great red zone defense from LAfolta.
They did get there in the end, as you said, but yeah, Feller was had those end zone eyes on. He was looking one way only, and thankfully in the last seconds of that stall count, he went wide to Orlovsky's and bailed himself out. But short of that one part of the possession, that was otherwise very clean. And now here comes the D-line that ended up being the saviors of their semifinal, despite a bit more star-studding on the other side.
Well, Gaël Ancelon, probably one of the players of the match in the semi. Big hand block. Someone you
Here
always want.
comes LAfolta, Zani with the disc, directing traffic with his offhand. Upfield to Marsazi, he winds up, he puts it to Trombetti. It's over the defender, it's into the hands. Eduardo Trombetti collects the huck for the goal.
Yeah, John Bickman's there trying perhaps a little bit too hard to be aggressive towards the throw. Definitely gave acres of space in terms of the gap between him and the matchup, grabbing the score. But 5 passes for the Italians' offense, 6 for the Belgians. It's all good.
The chat blowing up already. I can barely keep up with this list of what everybody's saying here, but we'll get to it bit by bit. Not quite now, but we're happy you guys are all there. And while you're paying attention and chatting, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and become a patron. You owe it to yourself to do that for your community.
And you can do things like put stickers and super chats in. I think at the beginning of the women's final, we had a super chat with a £5 GB women to win. So if you fancy doing that sort of action, flinging us some cash for some predictions as to who you want to be the victors here in Tom's Tourney, feel free.
Yeah, get that done. Do what's good for doing. So, couple holds. One apiece. Tognetti sends the pull. And here comes Deleuze and the Mooncatchers. Jonkers saw Orlovsky's and didn't go for him. Mafioli had a sniff, but Marek hangs on. Marek goes wide and Oczynski way too open. And that is because there was a pick.
Yeah, they're suspiciously free. I'll tell you what, it was more than a sniff for Mafioli. That lad is gunning for a block.
Nearly a lick. Arters to Jonkers. Ref goes hammer, not a surprise. Orlovsky on the other end, also not a surprise. In for the goal, and their conservative offense working out so far.
I don't believe we've mentioned the complete and utter lack of wind today here in Bruges. We've had some inclement weather over the course of this tournament. A burst of rain with thunder and lightning, very frightening on Friday, that even actually paused games for a full half an hour. Yesterday was a bit soggy, which is why the pitches are quite tricky to run on. But at the moment, the fact that there is, I mean, you can't even see the foliage moving of the lovely trees, a very green space here at the Golden Kerma Fields Complex in Bruges. But that's got to favour Mooncatchers. Those big overheads to the sections of the pitch that only the offensive players can occupy. And they love those big stars. I still think that when you're a Mooncatcher, throwing an overhead is not a low percentage pass. It's not a high-risk option. It's just what they do all day, every day.
Every day. And LAfolta fields the next pull, 4th point of this game. Votsi with the disc. A little bit of a lag in the handle space on defense. And I'm not sure what the conversation is here.
Bit too much bumping off the mark, I would imagine. And a call made quite early, because that was mighty static in this sort of quad set downfield for Bologna.
Arslan taps back in, and a bit more space this time. Votsi goes to Pavan. What a breakthrow by Pavan Dorossi. He goes to Votsi, and Votsi turns his wrists over and drops it.
Ouch.
And now the bump back by Votsi as he gets to Janssen, fakes the big, and keeps looking upfield. Had Albatich, and then goes to Arslan. Gael, Arslan, and Votsi and Arslan are bumping back and forth, and they're going to stop to chat about that.
Well, perhaps a disc space violation, and Arslan kind of elbowing the mark out of the way, and the foul being called. Use your words, lads, not your elbows, please.
Arslan inside break to Janssen. Janssen continues to Albatich. Back to Janssen. Surveying options, wide side, lots of space, but well defended. Anselin gets it after it's popped over top. Gone the other way. Yonkers' shirt catches that, but that's not a Yonkers.
Yeah, those two snowmen you love so much. The number 88.
I do love them. More on the scoreboard than the back of his shirt, but I'll take him any which way.
You've said it every time we've had an 8 and an 8 anywhere near each other.
Yeah, for the last 12 years. Gael Anselin goes to Albertinch. And it's up for Rossi and Janssen had the longer arm and the step, and they get the goal there. That is a break and a go-ahead.
And just a pure trust ball. Holt Janssen being asked to just, really turn on the guns. Bit of a thrower-led option there. And I tell you what, one person who must be having a difficult time of things at the moment is Lasma Kublichko, who we've just seen run off the side of the pitch. Of course, playing with BFD Shout, just lost herself a final in the previous game. But also having to support the open variant of that club, but also having some fellow country folks who've been playing with Mooncatchers. So I wonder who she's secretly punching for. And who are you punching for back at home? Let us know who you're supporting in the comments.
As if we'll be able to keep up with what all these guys are talking about. They've slowed down in the chat a bit, but we can't really tell who you're all supporting. Right now it's a chat about GAs versus observers versus spirit of the game, making our own calls, which I still support the most. Refs make bad calls, advisors make bad calls, players make bad calls sometimes, but at least they're bound by it and recognized for the way they call the game. Here's Gasperini, integral in some of the calls in that last game. Goes to Pavan, shoots for goal. Barsazi can't catch up, can't even lay out, which is rare for that fella.
Yeah, that is very rare to not see the aerial display. Perhaps getting spooked by the fact that there is a very large crowd present just at the back of that end zone. Of course, all the players and spectators here in Bruges enjoying the spectacle of finals day. But the Italians are perhaps being a little bit hasty with the disc. Need to treasure more.
Tom's Albertinch, one of the Latvian connection here on the Mooncatchers, goes to the Dutchman. Upfield, de Mesmaker goes to Tam, the Estonian. Beekmans, and this D-line is their second D-line, grinding, seeing if they can do what D-line 1 got away with, but that one given back to the Italians.
I feel like Artefella could have had maybe a shot at getting that one down.
Trombetti across Casanelli, and Crisafulli now centers. Barsazi straight back to Crisafulli in the middle. Pavan, the Padovan player who is regularly with Bologna now. Gasperini and Pavan again. Crisafulli. Gasperini on the doorstep, looking for anything forward, but gets Laffy in the dump space. Now Crisafulli centering. Pavan chases that one in and just puts it down casually as can be. We've got some work to do. No time to celebrate.
Absolutely. We talked about at the beginning of this game the idea that this would be a mental challenge posed as well as a physical one for LAfolta. Had to give a lot in their semi-final, a lot. Having stretched themselves out in front, they saw it be all taken away from them and nearly didn't make it here. Spicy final point. But Moon looking fairly comfortable. Perhaps some slightly less more ill-advised choices on offense, but both teams just clicking through the gears. I reckon we'll start to see things spice up a little bit. But Santucci coming on the line. It's been taking some games off here at Tom's Tourney, just to rest his old man legs. But as he says, the oldest chicken makes the finest broth.
Fair. Let's keep those old chickens well rested then for that sweet bouillon.
Oh, you see him there, having a little snack of his shirt. Played like absolute dynamo in the semi-final, those late stages.
Tends to do that on the big stage. Paul Arders, the Chicago native, goes to Orlovsky's and gets it back. Ref Jonkers had Feller underneath, but goes to Spappins. Straight to Feller now. Orlovsky's comes wide and is hit for his cut. He winds up 2 or 3 times over, and high stall count gets it moved on. Butien to Arders. There is what must be a pick. It's gonna go back 1 throw. Arders and Venturoli slap hands. They're feeling all right with each other's calls. That one to Jonkers. He goes wide to Spappins. The throw looks good, and it is good. Out in front of the defender Chump. Spappins put ones on the board, and Moon stay up.
Oh, well, that is chef's kiss perfect for Spappins. The works in development cooperation. But fun facts, actually, Spappins would rather be playing guts.
That is more of a strange fact than a fun fact. I've played a bit of guts myself and would not often rather be playing that than ultimate. I would rather be playing that in a short-term recreational sense. Very obscure time to very obscure time, but... Yeah.
Well, certainly playing for a team like Mooncatchers, who do like those slightly more controversial, not just a straight backhand or a straight flick, and something a bit funky. Definitely one of those disciplines that's it's a real sharp learning curve. But if you can catch those discs, it will potentially improve your performance out here on the ultimate field. But we have a lively chat going on in the comments. Glad to have you all with us.
These guys keeping themselves entertained. Likely want the call out, but they're gonna have to get the really good chat to get us to mention it as Laffy dumps back to Kopi. He looked to want it back, but the defense adjusted, and Crisafulli gets it in his own end zone now. Pavan gives him the space to get it up and gets it on the give and go. Huck to Barsazi is blindly knocked away. No eyes on that. Perfect timing on the D.
Wow, just absolute wow. X-ray specs through the back of his own skull.
That is eyes on the back of your head if I've ever seen it. Anslen picks up and hammers to the 16 shirt. And there's the big shot, deep, trying to get it both ways, but Balsazi gets one back, and that's 1-1 for that combo there. Those two going back and forth, stealing hucks from one another.
Absolutely all smiles. Can you imagine, though, if that recatch had worked out? Whoa, how's it going, it, though? Way to keep the eyes on the prize.
Shot goes deep. Pavan now, the much bigger body, and almost another blind D, but Pavan does get this one into his hands.
Yeah, it would have been too much to have two sort of flail slap around the back of the head Ds. Bigman's getting a little bit beat there, but a decent hold on second asking for LAfolta. They'll be having some chats with their coaches to make tactical adjustments, I'm sure.
I spoke as well with the coach of the Mooncatchers, PA, de la Main. And I asked him a little bit about the semi that he watched between LAfolta and Belgium under 24. And I think above everything, he said, well, we saw the photo, we saw the
Replay?
double sky ball between Pavan and, oh goodness, who was that? De Crenne. And he says, well, I think they had it that time anyways. It was robbed from them. So then, you know, after the other call, which he didn't think was a great call, it did go to the team that may well have won it, honestly, on the first time of asking. He also said that he really wants to break up the underneath game from these Italians, defensively speaking, and stop their flow, get in the lanes, try and make them go stretch the field a bit more than they may like to normally. There's the bid by Jan Novak, but in the hands of Oczynski. Arters with Venturoli on him. Now Yonkers, he shoots deep. Orlovsky's there in space, hands out. Nobody's gonna stop me, he says, and he doesn't as he butters the bread in his hand, which is the Frisbee.
Not sure I really like the step off mark from Santucci there. Yonkers is somebody you know has a big arm. And that kind of just looseness on the mark really just gave him the opportunity to throw more or less whatever he wanted, perhaps a tiny bit closer from Santucci. He's a very experienced player, very good ultimate athlete, but that was just too easy. And the confidence on Arvid Orlovskis to just be like, yeah, bring it on, I'm ready to score this goal. You're nowhere near me. Bosh.
Ref Yonkers has put an impact on this game already. As per expectations, one of the captains of this squad, he helps with a lot of the recruiting, he administrates a lot of it. A great weapon of a player, and 3 assists and a block to his name already early in this game. He's putting on a clinic of what Ref Yonkers does best. Laffy goes under to Zani. Zani fakes the big as Balsazzi takes off, but gets Rossi coming under. That one straight to Albatich, and Mooncatchers with a chance to split this one wide open.
That's a truly awkward error. Pavan just thinking, looking over his shoulder too late.
Sniffing at it, but no chance. Beekmans cashes in a break. It's 6-3, double up. Mooncatchers giving it to LAfolta.
Just looks too easy. Too easy. But there, that look over the shoulder, very, very costly for LAfolta. On the back heel, I think, when they were playing defense to try and win the disc back.
We've got a timeout on the field, Hannah. We're also checking out the chat. I give one more reminder to keep the chat friendly here, people. Everybody here is to enjoy this game, show your support. There are opinions that can be left, but enough of this trolling at Dean.
Keep the measured passion, please, folks. But measured passion is probably actually a really accurate way to describe the way that we're talking about this. But we're going to have some messages for a brief break, but stay glued to the action after these. So inching our way towards half-time. About 7 minutes left on the game clock. Still 60-minute time slots here in Bruges. Games to 15, but a bit of a quirk. We actually have a half-time at 30 minutes in, or 8 points in. And then we have Cap +2, retro-style rules here in Bruges.
Cap +2. Halftime, like these luxuries. Mooncatchers well out in front here. Will Bologna to go on to lose 2 Tom's tournament finals in a row? Or will they find the spark they need to get over the hump here? They're going to need to find it soon. Brugge has moved over again to the O-line.
It's a smart choice. He's very good at Frisbee.
I like that move as well. Gasperini well covered by Janssen, but still gets the disc. Pavan's now open and gets, he goes to Venturoli, and that looks like it's gonna work. Oh my goodness, it didn't. 88 is putting on a clinic.
Well, I tell you what, mystery non-Yonkers is having a brilliant game in Yonkers' shirt. Really powerful defensive block there, and keeping to make sure after just macking it over, the momentum is maintained and the disc is kept well away.
Oslen goes to Janssen, and the takeaway there, just another to the list of opportunities, and Janssen's gone deep, and it is our same mystery 88 with a chance, but Venturoli takes it back for the Italians in his 50 shirt.
Second one of those, amazing block, and then less amazing choices on offense.
Oh, Laffy had to keep his shoulders to keep that one high, and now Crash goes deep with the intended receiver as Tognetti, but the 2 defenders step in front there and give no chance for the reception.
Yeah, all too often you see 2 defenders, 1 offensive player, and still at the score, but that was brilliant defense, really just closing the jaws.
Albatich shoots deep for Oslen. Oslen gets up, and wow, he hangs on to that. What a job by Gaël Oslen with 2 defenders draped all over him.
Be still my beating heart. Harry Houdini, the disc away from the defenders. Woo! My goodness, now that was absolutely sensational. Gaël Oslen coming across, of course. This is not his home team, is it, Stefan?
It's not his regular team, but he did WCC with them. He did campaign 2 or 3 tournaments.
But who do we credit for the raising of Oslo?
What club is his? Seski Discus, who is from Strasbourg, the east of France, close to the German border there. He is the heartbeat of that club and team there. Mixed champions in France this time around, and I think 2 years ago they had it as well. Lost it to Izaka in between. But here doing it on the open stage, made himself available to play open to European teams last year after the Canadian Federation denied him the potential to play with GOAT, where he did end up going to play for USAU afterwards. And yeah, there were some interested teams I know that really wanted Oslen to play with them, but club politics are tricky sometimes, and Mooncatchers, as soon as they had the opportunity, they welcomed him with open arms. Here's Gasperini. Goes under to Tognetti, far sideline. Kopi to Vozzi. Now Gasperini is under. He shoots deep. Chopo there, he's got it, and they're on the board. Putting Chopo back on the O-line has paid dividends. 4 for LAfolta to 7 from the Mooncatchers.
Well, LAfolta trying to rise their energy with some chanting from the sideline, celebrating the score. That was a much needed hold after conceding 3 on the bounce to Mooncatchers. The open team with a big net, gathering talent from across Europe. Interesting to see over the course of the season whether they are the heart stealers again or the heartbreakers again. Because they had both last season. Of course, the dreamy performance at World Clubs, where they became the darlings of everyone that was not North America.
Most certainly, one game stands out above all, but a great campaign. And in that one game, there was one moment that stands out for me even, and that had Guy Lancelin's signature on that as well.
He really is a big impact player, but half-time has been called, so this will be the last point of the first half. It might be to say 8 regardless, if Mooncatchers can snag another hold.
Arthur Feller handles the pole and distributes to Arders. Marek went to the races, but not much underneath. Marek comes back, but well covered. Now goes to Arders on the around, over the shoulder. Arders goes deep. Orlovsky's is there. Goes over, just over the hand of Jan Novak, and Orlovsky's collects.
Yeah, you've really got to go for it on those deep shots to Orlovsky's. He will outread you and outbid you if you try and do it close. So you've got to go up high and early. Great attempt from Novak, but a beautiful disc once again from the Mooncatchers, and a super scintillating quick conversion for their O-line.
So we are taking ourselves into halftime here, getting ready to have another look. Charlotte Terrasson will be with us very shortly, and we'll have a look at the Tokai halftime show.
Come on, break!
Welcome to the halftime show of Tokai Ultimate, sponsor of ULTI.TV streaming this final of Tom's Tourney 2023, and we will have a look at the highlights of this game so far. We've had a crazy start for Mooncatchers, seizing every breaking opportunities. Great air fights on both sides as well. We've seen some tower fights in the end zones. Everyone working hard and fighting for every disc. And Mooncatchers really fired up on this one. Digged a whole difference between the scores and keeping it as long as possible, but LAfolta definitely didn't say their last word and are gonna come back and give all the strength we know Bologna for. What beautiful actions these guys are providing, and this is only the half of it. Stay tuned and look at the rest of this game. I will give it back to Steph and Hannah for your lovely commentators.
Wonderful word there from our sponsors, Tokai for the halftime show, and Charlotte Terrasson after a great weekend on the comms with Hannah and I. We've been having a ball. We always love being here. We always love giving you the action right from the source.
Absolutely. And you know, it's our benefit, a loss to the playing community and a benefit to the listening community and you folks watching live at home to have the knowledge of Terrasson and her dulcet tones on the microphone. But this game could heat up from here. I think LAfolta will find some magic. They're a young team, a talented team with lots of decent coaching experience behind them. And this is where they're going to need to pull some magic. They are starting on offense. So first it's the hold, this mental challenge of a game after that very close semi-final. And it's a smackdown miscue, but an immediate accepted foul.
Foul, no contest, out of the hands of Casanelli, and Walt Janssen had a hack at him. Casanelli goes around and finds Laffy, and Laffy finds the foot of the number 58 shirt, Jakob Tam. What a performance Mooncatchers are putting on right now. Monslin to pick up. And sliding defenders as the Mooncatchers reset their stack.
With Janssen Casanelli action.
Monslin, inside break. Janssen is there, and it is a 9-4 lead. Wow, Mooncatchers are flexing.
Wow, 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 wow. Arsalan just laying it down. Laying down the law and physically laying down after throwing that ludicrous inside break for the score. Love to see that kind of creativity. But, I mean, it's not what LAfolta want to see coming out in the second half. This is not the good momentum change that they need desperately. But we've seen stranger things happen on the field here than overturned deficits of 5 scores, of course. Seeing themselves in front, LAfolta, with 13-9 up, and then look what happened.
Well, they won on Universe, but, well, we all know what happened. We'll say that much.
And if you haven't watched it yet, it doesn't even matter that you might have a bit of a spoiler for the scoreline, because it's well worth watching. What an exciting match. Have you got any other games along the course of this division that you've really thought were great ones to watch, Stefan?
Oh, you know, like we said yesterday, melted plastic in the brains and dripping out of our ears, but I do remember a few. The Wall City Belgian under-24 match stands out as one that I was very impressed by. That was a heck of a match, great finish by Belgium under-24 to close out Wall City there. There is no Netherlands game in the open division. Cracking affair. I have a bias because of my old connection, but even despite that, just a good old-fashioned game there. Anybody could have won that one.
And it was wicked to see Netherlands advance out of that evil Pool D and get themselves into quarterfinals. Coach Ravi very happy with that.
Most certainly in a strange fashion as well. Unexpected, we'll say. Gasparini now goes for goal, has 2 there, but Janssen there too. Zani in front, collects the goal. Boy, did they need that. 9-5, Hannah. What a way to make a living.
Yeah, Ricardo Zani with the grab, keeping his position very well. Tall players trying to reach and steal one from over his head, but that was good attack and a much needed little injection of health into the offense of LAfolta, who've been broken so many times this game. Not a clean performance from them, to say the least. I have a feeling, as a coach, both sides have brought pretty full-bodied, full-fat squads here. It's how difficult to even keep them on the one screen for our commentary system. But this is maybe where you start to try as a coach to manage the game a little bit more, see who's having a good time of it in this match. Maybe, you know, some people maybe gave a little bit too much in that semi-final. They need to take some time out, cool their heels a bit, and just see who's clicking, who's humming, because they are going to need to run some tight lines of their top performers to get some defensive blocks in the later stages of this game. But thus far, it's quite a good spread of the stats for LAfolta, whereas Mooncatchers have been real top heavy. If they can shut down the likes of Orlovskis and Jonkers, then it's going to be a very different story for the second half. The first shot at doing so.
Some of our team stats, Hannah, just Mooncatchers have got 5 Ds, and every time they've got a D, they've converted it into a break. They're 5 for 5 on break opportunities, so don't give it away, LAfolta, because they're going to make you pay at this conversion rate.
Yeah, this is, for the standard that we're used to seeing LAfolta play, probably a bit of a sloppy performance. But things to take for the rest of the season, this being one of the early stages of 2023.
Zoned by Bologna, and the Mooncatchers cut through it to start. Arters with the disc now. After a handful of passes, goes wide up and over to Orlovskis. Orlovsky's wide side. And end zone, Yonkers begs for it. Chopo makes a play. That man can fly, and Yonkers was calling for it and got denied.
Well, that is an individual who is reliably having a good day at the office, just always with a smile on his face. Santucci with the block.
Tognetti goes to Santucci. Oh, that's low, but picked up by Simonazzi. Simonazzi goes around to Chopo after he barks a bit for it. He goes hammer. Tognetti's going to get his hands on that one. They're in the red zone now. They need this one. Can Venturoli get there? No, he cannot. And they've given it back. The break chance was so available.
When you say so available, the pace that disc needed to have was because it wasn't the freest option there. Tognetti coming up a little bit short of asking, but after that huge redemption attempt, a bit winded.
Venturoli coming out on an injury call, lost all the air in those lungs, and Quentin Roger coming in for him. See if the Mooncatchers will reciprocate a substitution, or if they're happy to keep the same 7 out there, and that's the way it seems. Arders with the disc, arrives at the line. Scoops over top to Oczynski. Deleuze back and forth with Yonkers. Yonkers goes to Spappins, and Novak sends himself flying. The Austrian import here impacts himself. Simonazzi to Roger, wide across to Tognetti. Break chance still exists. Jan Novak, too far for Simonazzi. There needed to be a bit more air under that.
Little flash of the foot from Benoit Spappins makes that such a trickier throw to execute. You know, that rising from the bottom, going for the low release, and asking again a lot on the hands of each other. And we'll talk about that lovely flat hammer from Santucci in the previous possession at the end of this point.
And again, a chance to hold. Arders goes big and wide to Spappins. Yonkers, sorry. Confusing one big body for the other, but now it's Feller. Deleuze. Oczynski, and they've gone deep. Spappins is there. Can Chopo break up another play? He can, and he has. Spappins not having it, not happy with himself, but Chopo Santucci makes another play.
It's the Italians who are stereotypically known for their sort of maybe a touch of melodrama when they're on the field and when they're in, well, it's just in many contexts, but that was some serious melodramatic action from Benoit Spappins. Having a bit of a heck of a point, not attacking that disc that gave it away, but big old miss, Santucci with the block.
We're back in action here. Simonazzi goes to Tognetti. Simonazzi on the catch-up, power position, puts it away. Roger now, nobody cutting deep. He would have liked that. Instead, he goes to the second Simonazzi on the field. Chopo Santucci straight away, and another squandered opportunity. That one past Osri. The Bolognese cannot get a break.
I really would like to see the Italians fake that open side. They are getting free, but if they could just make a really convincing fake, maybe get the mark soaring, making a layout bid, and then just pop it over the top, or something different, just a couple more extra passes. But both coaching outfits going to get a chance to chat after this long old point. Timeout called.
We'll be back after the break. Don't you go anywhere.
We believe mixed is the best for the sport, for the world. That's why we're making a global showcase, starting in Europe, made in Amsterdam. ULTI.TV, ULTI.net.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Back in action. Loving the chat now, the discussion about eligibility, pickup players, rostering. This stuff all very relevant stuff that may need some structuring in the future. It's loose.
One big thing, this is an amateur sport, folks. Not every federation is as flush with cash as others are. So before we start pecking at each other, and I just love the fact that we get to see elite teams coming together, playing together, and then being able to compete on the world stage against the huge player bases that live and exist in North America, for example.
Arders goes across to Deleuze. Orlovsky's setting up the attack here on this very long point. Yonkers. Italians desperate for a break. And the team from Brussels want to do anything they can to put one more on the board. The more separation they can get, the better. Ochinsky goes over to Orlovsky's. Back in the dump set to Deleuze. Scoop over top. Orlovsky's zips to the other side. Jonkers guides before he passes and gives and goes. Jonkers to Deleuze. Defense tightens up, but Ochinsky on the doorstep here. Back. Ooh, that didn't come out clean, but it is a completion. Feller with the disc. Orlovsky's does get it only just before the ground, and a defensive bid coming with it.
That's got to hurt for the Italian fans to watch after all of those front cone, low release flicks. Orlovsky's just showing how to scoop it up. I love watching Arvid Orlovsky's play Ultimate. He's just so calm. Nothing seems to shake the man. The way he just watches the disc into his hands, those just wrist snap, really powerful shots, completely lateral across the pitch, and then it's no thing. We're getting a little bit of luck in the favour of Mooncatchers. They're certainly their more frustrated, flustered passes are connecting, but that's just, you know, just let me lay my body out and also twist my hands to the sides. Just, I love to see it.
Love it. You got to be good to be lucky. You don't get all the bounces no matter how well you play sometimes, and right now, Moon both good and lucky. They send the pull. The Italians receive as Laffy stops the roll and sends to Zani. Coppi. Trombetti. Rossi in the middle of the field. He goes near side, gets it straight back through the hands of Coppi. Now Zani. Wide across to Laffy. He gives a little Bruce Springsteen and takes a hit, but no call as Pavan looks upfield. Pavan to Zani. Zani breaks inside. De Rossi had a thought of the hammer, but puts it away. Now to Trombetti. They're in the red zone now. Shot for Rossi. That counts. Italy, Bologna put the 6th on the board with a very important hold.
And our overhead shots there on that last point really showing that we're now getting some smooth, confident movement from LAfolta. players, the timing seems to now finally be working out. They're not having to wait on the disc and sit and make risky options. A little bit of double cutting more than I'd like, but I like when you do get 2 players attacking the same space, the recognition, the communication, and the bouncing on the inside, allowing a lot of the flow that happened in that last possession. But a good hold for LAfolta. We had a bit of a grinder in the last point. 4 turnovers for me until they, well, like 3 turns, right? Until they eventually punched that one in. But LAfolta a bit more confidence, but not quite the dynamic, grindy, fiery Italian energy they're going to need. But the C9 turn now. See what they can do.
D-line's turn is precisely the situation you said. O-line's getting it together good. That's what they need to put this D-line on the field, but how are they going to stop the Mooncatchers? What have they got? They got the turns the last time, but not the conversions. Let's see what they get this time of asking. Mooncatchers to Orlovsky's middle of his own backfield. Orlovsky's, and then Feller moves to Jonkers near side, gives and goes, and too far in front from Jonkers. There's a chance for a break. Tognetti picks up to Simonazzi. Jonkers steps into the pivot, and then leading throw to Casanelli. Tognetti stops and gets separation, then hammer to Crash, but Arters breaks it up. There is possibly a call on this.
I liked the catch-up. Let's have another look at the positioning. There's a little bit of a turn at the back shoulder, but I'm not sure how much the contact with Arters is doing. Seemed like 2 players happy to jostle with each other.
They jumped to the same spot looking for the same disc. Arters got in front, turned, sure, contact there. It's what used to be classified as incidental contact. And retracted by Crash, and I think that's the right call by my estimation.
I like the discussion, but the Italians being a bit loose with those overheads at times.
Here come the Belgians. Oczynski to Orlovsky's. He goes deep. Marek is there. Venturoli on the chase. Look out, crowd. But it does land in, and that's a goal for Belgium, for the Mooncatchers. There's a man down in the middle of the field. That's Tognetti. But he's back up. It is 11-6, Hannah, for the Mooncatchers.
Well, we have just shy of 10 minutes left on the game clock. 60 minutes of regulation here at Tom's Tourney, and the sun has emerged from behind the clouds as we saw that one be raced down. Delamin. Sorry, that's not Delamin, that's Marek with the goal. Both of them wearing the number 11.
Watching, assuming we've just been sunbaking all weekend. By the way things look right now, I will assure you it's not exactly been quite like that.
It has not, but we'll take every little bit of vitamin D we can, and certainly the fans out here will be enjoying the fact that the sun has emerged. Lots of sorts being consumed on the sidelines and various other snacks. Massive thank you to all of the tournament staff and volunteers from Frisbees. Of course, this is the 29th edition of the Tom's Tourney tournament, so they run a pretty tight ship here, but it's been a really fantastic experience for all of the players and of course for us on the live stream. Great food, great ultimate, and great scenes.
Laffy watches that one go out of bounds. He'll take it to the brick spot. Surely all of you players that play at the elite level that would constitute being involved in this tournament are already sorting yourself out for next year, the big 30th anniversary, making sure you got a team to be on, making sure you're here for the fireworks.
It's going to be a very well-filled tournament, that's for sure.
Arturo Laffi goes to Kopi, and holding is the minimum requirement now for LAfolta. Pavan goes to Laffi. Trombetti gets the disc, and then to Pavan. Oh, a nice throw by Pavan. No look, high release, cross body. And it's Gasparini with that goal that they so desperately needed.
I don't even know what to say about that last throw from Pavan. The release on it. I want to watch that one back in slow motion over and over and over again. And then in normal speed, so you can see just how quick it was. But oh, we're going to get another look at it.
There it is.
Smooth, flat as a pancake. We are starting to get a teeny tiny gust of wind, which might, rise, make things a bit more interesting. We've had a change in the conditions. The clouds have cleared. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Bruges. But just at the moment, a thrower's breeze. Nothing too unsettling for either side. 5 minutes now remaining in this Open First Division final.
7-Eleven, Hannah. It's time for a Slurpee.
Favorite flavor?
Grape.
Excellent
All
choice.
day.
Excellent choice. But at the moment, we're going to have to switch on the machine, our LAfolta, to try and create some ground up ice to slush around and cause some issues for Mooncatchers, who've been so confident this entire game.
Younger shoots to Marek. Venturoli knocks it away. Chopo Santucci stops the roll, and Orlovsky's, I'm not sure he had the right to bounce it back. Look at this. What? And Santucci picks up, gives the crash, and he gets going. And that was an ill-advised throw. Crash has had a couple hucks that have not come off now. Arders to Feller. Feller goes hammer to Jongers. Oczynski. Hotonen. And that's clean into Jongers. 12-7. The blowout is in the making unless Bologna can pull off the miracle.
Broken like a china doll with a sledgehammer. That was a beautiful throw from Hotonen. Although, I did say, maybe a bit commentators cursed how confident Mooncatchers had been looking this game, and a touch of overconfidence there. Not a fan of that early deep shot that allowed the opportunity, I believe, for Venturoli to make a play on. Marek having to kind of slow down in the midsection of the field and trying to like hang time his way backwards in the space. But Mooncatchers did it all that hard work in the first half. LAfolta have yet to scratch a break back.
Bologna will seek answers. The good thing is, Hannah, we have seen some miraculous performances on this field over the course of this weekend. The potential always exists. If they're good enough to be in this final, they're good enough to put on a run. Again, the minimum requirement is this hold, and then the tall task. Here comes Zani. Rossi goes to Gasparini. He engages Zani and gets him in the backfield. Zani goes around, and Barzazzi is there. Oh, and a miscommunication. The Italians have not got it together right now.
Yeah, hard match defense pressed up against that sideline. I think an error really. That was a hittable swing.
Albatich gets Jansen. Jansen back to Albatich. Walt Jansen again. looking for the immediate score, but goes back to Muller. Janssen looking for anything. That one too far for Janssen and gone to turf.
Yeah, like a full body flail from Janssen to try and catch that score. Was definitely not ready for it.
Kopi and LAfolta trying desperately to turn the tides here and find something to build momentum upon. Laffy goes to Gasparini, who does have enough field. Then he goes deep to Zani. Will he get there? No, he will not either. Almost entering the football goalposts there. The throw from Gasparini, too much on it.
I like the fling at it though. I like having a go at that bid, even though you are probably at least 30 centimeters away. If that had worked, if that had happened, the injection of fire into the Italians would have been real, but Oslong with a disc.
He finds Albatic. Albatic gets Janssen. He wound up, second effort, gets the completion to Petterken. And then a hand block from Kopi. Kopi considers picking up and does while the team gets upfield. He now jacks it. Balsazi is there. Walt will try to catch up, but Balsazi with that much position will finally make good about it and bring it to within 4 as time expires.
One of the stats that we don't have is the length of the point, and that was a very lengthy point. We have had time expire, which I believe was before that catch, but I will just get it confirmed from TD Boris van der Loek. So cap +2 in these finals, but it's been +1 for every single other game across the division, so it's going to be a game to 14.
Bologna have a long way to 14, 6 points away. A hold here will put Mooncatchers to within 1. Yonkers in his own end zone, and the Italian pressure mounts, but finds an opening to Oczynski.
The Italians are trying to play some really smart poaching defense, and it isn't always working, but that might be the error of execution. No, just about inbounds.
Spappins collects the throw that looked like it may float out of bounds. Marek with the disc to Oczynski in the same space.
There's always a player free. It's just about finding them and throwing around the poachers.
Arders and Yonkers, but Arders flicks it too far in front and apologizes for it. But the apology will not get the possession back. Simonazzi picks up in front of our cameras. Simonazzi zips one to Jan Novak, and now Tognetti. Simonazzi again, swipes. Goes back to Tognetti. And now back to Tognetti on the doorstep, near sideline, goes wide around, 2 hands on it. That is caught by Ostri, and Orlovsky's layout first. We're gonna have to have another look at this. Everybody having a wonder. Let's see what the camera says while they discuss this. Oh, I need that slowed down. I think it is given. It looked close enough from that first shot. Orlovsky's so close. Yeah, back, right foot dragging. Left foot seemed to be up with the bent knee. That one in for the goal.
regardless of how you feel about one, there's also a relatively decent shout for saying a force-out call. You know, there was certainly a lot of pressure coming from behind on that reception, but that's the first break for LAfolta. Mooncatchers had given themselves 4, and they started the game on offense. They have all the advantage here. Not quite on match point. That was the potential opportunity for the Italians to start building a tower to try and surround Mooncatchers, but it's home turf advantage. Lots of Belgian Ultimate fans here enjoying the scenes in Bruges.
Lots of Ultimate fans, periods, around the field, here in the chat, on the stream. This one has the makings of a cracking final. It's been a great final despite the separation right now in points, and Bologna with the tall task in front of them. Disc in the hands of Marek, wide and across to Yonkers. And that one broken up, foul on the throw, no contest. Chopo immediately admits to the contact that he put on Yonkers.
Do you see the flair there from Luca Tognetti? I love that. I love that energy. Let's see if the Italians can ride it.
Artist trying to step through 2 and force it to Yonkers, but goes back instead as he recollects the disc. Moved on to Marek, far sideline. Dump back to Arthur Feller. Feller goes big and blady. Ostry with a chance, but into the hands of Orlovsky's. Second asking to Oczynski, and black shirted bodies flying into each other, but not enough to get a hand on it.
Oh, well, in this game to 14, we are seeing some desperate efforts from LAfolta. They have the 1 break to their tally versus the 4 that allowed the Mooncatchers to ascend in their lead. The ice in the veins, like always for Orlovsky's. It's like there wasn't any defense. They were just like, oh, let's work on a play together. Let's, you know, you and I connect, 1-2, give go, but we love it. They have the cushion, they have the confidence, they have the movement, and so first match point for the D-line, and I can see Gaël Ancelin with the disc in his hand, readying for pull.
No room for error, 0 for Bologna. This is Mooncatchers' final to take with 1 more goal.
And the opportunities that have been given, as you pointed out earlier, Steph, to the Mooncatchers, they've only had 1 where it's taken them 2 attempts to get the break.
And Bologna breaks have been very few. Only 1 asking, Hannah.
Maybe they would have got a bucket full of them to make this one a real stormer.
Save them all for the last minutes. It starts with a hold if they're gonna even get a chance at trying these late game breaks. Zani gets Trombetti coming under. Rossi with a disc. He jacks it deep. Pavan is the first one there, but it's gonna go out the back. No, it will not. That was well weighted, and Pavan got separation when Walt realized he couldn't get in front.
A great hold. This is more like it. Where was this form earlier on? But then also maybe Moon just thinking, okay, we've got plenty of cushion right now. So many match points to run our way through before the Italians are going to run away with the game. So maybe a little bit off the gas there, just saving themselves, thinking about this offensive point. Is it going to be as slick and clean as that last one from LAfolta? Kind of hope so. Let's just see what the Mooncatchers are capable of, but trying to challenge every pass are the Italians, flinging themselves every which way. Hopefully they're all very well-conditioned athletes, lots of fantastic strength and conditioning coaching knowledge coming into both these sides, so hopefully they can bounce back up from the rather soft turf on all of these bids without an early season injury.
Venturoli with a big bending pole that doesn't get much distance. despite its float. Arders starts and goes hammer to Yonkers. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Mooncatchers have won Tom's Tournament 2023 on an Arders to Orlovsky's hammer to seal the deal, Hannah.
I was half a heartbeat away from saying single hammer score. Why not? Like Joe Cole. Why not? Paul Arters. Why not? Oh my goodness. Well, it ends sort of how it began. Mooncatchers just doing Mooncatcher things. Paul Arters coming across to Europe. Kopatanga and Tom's Tourney action, enjoying the early season events here on the other side of the pond. And what a throw that was. Great stuff from the Brussels team.
Great stuff from the entire weekend here. Tournament staff has been smashing it out. ULTI.TV crew doing all the right things, plugging the cables in the right holes and flicking those switches alongside, pointing the cameras in the right direction. Our team's been wonderful. Charlotte Terrasson on the side. We've had Misha on stats all day long. Hannah Pendlebury, always a pleasure to have in the box. And I've been Stefan Rapazzo. I'll give you guys one more reminder before we let you free to make sure you do everything you can to support our broadcast. ULTI.TV is in it for the people, the community, and the sport that we love so dearly. Like, comment, subscribe, and become a patron, people. It's been our absolute pleasure here to be in Bruges. We're already planning for next year. We're already planning for the rest of our summer tour. Next weekend, we'll be in Vienna for Vienna Spring Break. After that, the Elite Invite coming up. Windmill not that far after. It is going to be a magnificent summer. Go check out Steph Potts' YouTube while you're at it. I'm going to be putting content up there about this tour as we go. But thanks finally to all of you for tuning in and making this the event that it is. You're all wonderful people and you all deserve the best. Wishing you well from ULTI.TV. That's a wrap for Tom's Tournament.
Thanks. Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, ultimate.
ULTI.TV.
Favor, pour me another glass. Pour hearts that never last. Oh, take me. I'm a white wine, getting bored